Hi, this is Margarita Emanuele. Welcome to In the Pursuit of Joy podcast. Some week, I know that leading into Easter week was kind of a breakthrough for me. I started to hit the gym and I'm feeling pretty good about myself. I'm starting to work out and it's actually becoming a habit. So tonight's podcast is going to be kind of about habits, good and bad. And also a little bit, again, touch base with one of my original podcasts on autopilot, how we function on autopilot and how we can retrain our minds to do what we want them to do. And it all starts with creating good habits. But I've been leading for weeks into this one habit. I wanted to force myself to learn how to skip rope again. I know you're thinking, well, little kids do that, but maybe you're sitting at home right now going, oh no, that's really challenging because, for whatever reason in your mind, you can't do it. And I couldn't do it. I just kept thinking, I tell you what my limiting belief is that I'm too heavy. I mean, I know for a fact that I'm carrying about 40 pounds of extra weight, and I've gotten better. And you couldn't tell by just necessarily looking at me, but people who don't know me from way back, they would be like, yeah, you put on a little bit of weight. But I still would lift weights. I swim like crazy. I have mobility. I'm really grateful to have mobility. So I have no excuse to not move. And so that was the onus of my fitness goal, was to push myself into just finally, I'm getting back into not just in shape, but just creating those success building steps. And it starts with all facets of life. And recently I discovered that, whatever goals I had before, I wouldn't say they were shallow, but they just didn't have the impact that I was looking for. I started to analyze because I'm teaching other people how to do this. So I'm learning from other people as well, from their experiences, but just the same, I'm looking at this PowerPoint that I was putting together. I wanted to do a presentation and for one of my lessons. And I looked at the graphics that I had selected for the presentation. And I realized, without one thing, nothing else can work properly. The example being that if I don't change my mindset, if I don't create great habits that serve my current purpose or the goal that I want to achieve at some point in the future, it's not going to happen. You may feel at some point that, I'm achieving great, I'm feeling great. You have a positive persona, which is great. Building strength through positivity should be first and foremost. But if you're talking about deep inside and your introspection and all that, most people are not good at that, which is why I definitely want to bring you into this topic, is to actually just sit quietly sometime and just take a piece of paper and pen and just write a list. What would I love to do? And then you can start. I'm not going to go into goal setting tonight, but you have to ask that question. What is it that I want? Because nobody's going to ask you that. Maybe at a restaurant. What would you like to have? That's probably about the only place where you're going to get a full service mentality. If somebody's they're in a service industry, that's what that means. You go to a hotel or a resort. I'm going to talk about travel here in a little while. And it just everything came into focus when I injured myself. But enough of that in a moment. The skip rope thing was a challenge. I said, I should be able to do this. Just like I said before, probably a few weeks back, can I retrain? When I got shifted away from work, going from employed to not employed to not working for money anymore, doing my own thing for once, that was a big lesson. So I had to really think about it. I paid quite a bit of money. Actually, the skip rope system that I bought, it's 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 pretty good. I've tried many rope systems. They're all terrible. They're either I end up with whip marks on my legs. Have you ever had that? Like you just like, oh, screw this. I'm not gonna do this. It hurts. And also the fact that you're jumping and you're an adult and you're thinking it's just not gonna happen. And it was expensive, but not totally expensive. I mean, it was over Black Friday weekend, after Turkey Day. And I'm like, you know what? It's halfway affordable now. I've been eyeballing this for a while. I watched some people on YouTube engaging and skip roping. It's the whole thing. It's a thing. And I believe that perhaps that's something that I want to incorporate into my fitness routine. So I bought it and I got it in the mail, and I was pretty excited. I looked at it. It's pretty hard. It's a pretty hardy product. I don't advertise for them. I show it on my YouTube podcast, mainly because I really like it. I think it's built to last relatively decent amount of time. And the kit came with two ropes meaning they're cables, but they're in a casing. So it's basically like a wire, and this wire that's being encased, and it's pretty hardy. I mean, you can beat the heck out of it. And I decided to use the speed rope, and it has detachable handles, so you can switch it. And it's not like the mess that I had before, where you had to pull on it with the pair of pliers and clip it and take a soldering gun to it, and hopefully you measured it correctly for your height. It's a real pain just getting measured for a rope just to do the exercise. I haven't even come to the point where I actually engaged in the exercise yet, and it's stressful because if it's too long or too short, you're just gonna end up in the hospital. Not being negative. I'm just saying it's experience speaks very loudly here. So I finally bought it, and then I tried it a few times. So like many people, I give up because I just couldn't figure out. It's not giving me any feedback. Is what I'm looking for. And the feedback came eventually. So this is like springtime. This happened like before Christmas, after Turkey Day, and it went in the box. And I just basically like I tossed it on the shelf in my closet, like a boomerang, and it landed on the shelf, which was pretty cool. I bet I'd never be able to do that again. And it just sat there. And then I piled some more stuff on top of the box, and I said, that's usually for me, when I want to do something new or it's really challenging, I spend money. And when I spend money, that's usually an anchor. I spend the money. If I went to the gym and I borrow one, it wouldn't be the same. That happened with a trainer before. I ended up bringing it home because it was an old thing, and I just didn't get the feeling that I was really doing really well. So I ended up giving it up. I had it for years, and this thing was cheaply made. It had like a soft foam handles and whatnot, and it was a plastic thing, but it had a click to it when you hit the ground. So I got a little feedback from it, but I was not exactly in the best physical shape and health at the time. So like many things, like I said, we started and then we give up. So fast forward to a few weeks ago, I started to kind of shame myself a little bit. I shouldn't beat myself down over that, but I spend money. It's sitting in the closet, and it's an all body exercise, just like swimming. Swimming can get me to where I'm going, but not by itself. There has to be a combination of things. Like I said, everything in life, you want to improve 100% or as close to as possible, you have to improve in all the facets of your life. It will not work. It will not work if you just don't start from the very beginning, from the inside, changing your mindset. So with self-limiting beliefs, that is the first step to not failure, because failure is something that comes from at least engaging in something, taking actionable steps. The failure was not the factor. It was simply the lack of action. And I decided to go in the closet and give it a try. So I had about a week when I needed to work on some writing, and I did nothing else but that. And I was kind of feeling a little bit of cabin fever because, well, first it's Virginia, so we have wicked weather here, and between the storms and all the pollen trying to wreak havoc with me, it kind of seemed like a good option. Stay home and just work on things, and only venture outside when I have to drive to the gym. So I was doing really well. I've been going up for over a month and I get to the habit part of the story momentarily. Um, I decided to grab the rope, and then I started with the speed rope, which is usually a little bit longer and it's not as heavy. And I had to clear the room, make sure I didn't break anything that was of any value. And I decided I would do 5 minutes per day. 5 minutes per day, if skip rope it's quite a bit. If you do it well, it's one heck of an exercise for the whole body. But just being able to maintain for 5 minutes straight, I knew realistically that was not going to happen. However, I knew that I could set my watch into skip rope, and then it would allow me to just rest in between. If I do 15 seconds without stopping, that was a step ahead. And I just started to build up on that. So the 5 minutes per day rule was really to drive really hard to push the habit building. I was going to learn to skip rope. And sometimes I kind of go full blown, pretty gangsta on myself. I know this about me, and I have to watch it because I can go a little bit hard into things. And also once adrenaline and all those good hormones, you're starting to get it from exercise and you start feeling good, and you can harm yourself. So you have to be a little bit more intuitive about that. And sometimes I miss the mark. And I ended up at the end of the week, from Monday through Friday, I was crushing it. I don't mean like really hard or anything, but I figured out how to get the feedback where I could get that rhythm going. And I could go 15 seconds, and I was pretty out of breath. And I said, push, toss it on a chair. I went back to my desk and I worked for a few more seconds. That was my rest. And I'll go back and grab the rope and do the same thing. So I repeated this process over a matter of minutes. So I would go for like maybe from 1 minute at a time, then I would shut it down. And then I would do 15 to 20 seconds of actual continuous movement, not pretty, not fancy, but just moving and not tripping, my feet tripping over the cord, basically. And that was kind of fun. And over each day, my mind was like, no, don't take a break today. Don't take a break today. I would do it in the morning, and it would just be, like not really wanting to do that, but I said that I would do it. So over time, my brain was actually waking me up early, and I was complaining about it, like, dude, I want to sleep. Tired for the last day. The previous day, I worked really hard and on projects and all of that, and I got a workout, and it's like, nope. Even before I went to the gym, I would do the 5 minute thing. It was exhausting, and said, this is the warm up for the whole day, before swimming or before lifting weights, or even with a split routine, even using machines as a split routine. I still managed to get that 5 minutes of struggling to get this thing down. And at some point I thought, that I'm just not really breaking any ground, but I got used to doing it. And then I broke through that barrier, but I had to break through another barrier. I wanted to actually do it where it was worth doing. So bingo, I got an idea, like, hey, that box is still in the bedroom. There's another rope in there, and it's a thicker one. So I figure, okay, it's a half pounder. The other one's like a quarter pound or something like that. It's really light, really thin and really light. So the kit came with a half pound cord. So I decided to take it. And just as soon as I figured out the wrist motion with the forearms, because it's all on the wrist, really. It's the upper body, and then you get that momentum, and then with the feedback when it hits the ground, I started to get the feedback that I was looking for. That's the cue. I needed a cue for jumping, because I can never get jump just right. And I finally nailed it. And before long, I was doing longer. Like I could do 30 seconds. Like, wow, I shouldn't be surprised. I'm just saying I broke through the barriers on my own thinking and actually getting the body in its current state to do this. It has not been easy. So sometimes when I win, I win ugly. I go all in. Like this works, so I'm going to crank up the heat a little bit. There's something to be said for patience. I planted that seed. The seed is growing. I mean, my brain wakes me up without an alarm. It doesn't matter if it says 5:45, I'm like grumbling, like, okay, I'll get up, I'll do this, and then I'll go to the gym. And then the week before Easter, I challenged myself to do something that I wouldn't do. I'm not going to do this in public. I did it at home. I'm going to take that SOB with me, put it in my bag, coil it up, put it in the bag, and bring it with me. I was going to break through another barrier. It's the shame, that shyness, whatever that comes from. Nobody cares. It's like nobody cares what you look like and your shorts at the gym, unless you look extremely good. Some people look at you. People still look at you, but they're just as out of shape. And most of us, if you strip us down to being reborn, we just as scared, naked, and hungry, like everybody else is. So this self-image thing that if I don't look good, I don't want to go to the gym. That's something that I struggle with for a while. And I really could care less what I look like. I even wear t-shirts a little bit tighter because in the mirror I saw a little bit of ribs. And I'm like, no, you're wearing this today. I'm not going to argue or delay going to the gym over what t-shirt I'm going to wear. And this game goes on in the mind, and then your consciousness telling you, no, we're going to do this. This habit has been formed. This is the new you. This is what you do. So in order to stick with that, I've had to do 7 days in a row, and my workout app is telling me, hey, at least I'm getting some positive reinforcement from an app. But the app is telling me, yeah, 7 days in a row. It doesn't matter what the movement is. It doesn't have to be a hard workout or a really long workout in particular, but it had to be movement. The body is designed for movement. So it has to be moved every day. That's part of the deal. This is what we do now. If we could talk about we as many voices in the head, everybody jockeying for position, the one who's in charge was you. This is where the good habit comes from. This is where the autopilot theme that I started this podcast with is all about. Autopilot it's going to be autopilot. In the mornings, you're going to wake up. I want to wake up and not challenge. I don't want to go to the gym. No, I created this. I'm going to continue. This is a lifetime commitment. And fitness, anyone who's been doing it for a long time, who they get injured or something happened in their lives and they stop and then they have to go back at it. And maybe you've been through this yourselves and you have to kind of coax yourself into doing it again. Yeah, because at last you put the programming in your brain, but you did not maintain the software, and that's what happens. So leading into the week prior to Holy Week, I got this thing. I got confident. Confidence is good. Confidence is. I have a thing about my knees. My knees they're no problems. It's just the quads and the back behind the knee. For some reason, they get really. I can adjust my collar here, and they get really tight and they get kind of fluffy and tight, like they're swollen, like I had an injury, but they get really irritated. I ignore this. I know. I just walk slowly. I said, look, I got a really good workout. You cannot be sidelined mentally because the body's responding. So I try not to react. So I should have iced it a little bit because the first time that I did the split routine, I just take some dumbbells and a kettlebell and a corner where I know the floor is better than at home at the gym in some of these areas. So it's more cushion. It has a little bit more spring to it. And I can actually do my skip rope there. It's supposed to be a warm up, but I integrated the warm up into the thing that I do between sets and repetitions, and then I would do 15 to 30 seconds. It was pretty wild because I got my heart rate up. I was really loving it because I'm not now you're going into fat burning zone, and for me it's really hard to get to that. I'm just wired differently. It just takes me longer. It did when I was in my 20s in the military. It did throughout my life, and it takes me a while to break into a sweat. It really does. That shouldn't be a determining factor for assessing whether I'm getting a good workout or not, if it's going to be effective. But you get that visual. If you don't see that visual, that got me in trouble many times. You're not even breaking into a sweat. Yeah, and I would have to do more push-ups. It's always been a problem. So now I'm at a more mature age, and my body knows which way I should go. I let endorphins guide me, and that's where the danger comes into play. So this happened twice. I only waited about a week between those workouts, and I felt great. Like I said, endorphins, you feel no pain. It's after that adrenaline dump comes, and you're left with all that lactic acid built up in your muscles. And I did not care to stretch. That's on me. There's some elements leading into that. So basically, I know it's a long way to tell you that my knees hurt, but I think it's really the quads. I've had that issue before, but it really showed on the knees when I took a rolling pin, that just for working, kneading the fascia to make sure that I would stretch it out. I needed to stretch it. The fascia is like, I can go into that later on, or maybe now. The part of our brains that doesn't work that much, that we're not exercising. What is it that people say? It's like 5% is what we use of intellect. It's pretty crazy, but it's really true. Because when you look at it, we operate on autopilot our lives. We don't even know. We don't even admit to that. So I'm talking to you, someone who actually knows that we work on autopilot. So I'm trying to reprogram my pilot so that it does what I want it to do. And here I am kind of failing a little bit to realize that I'm going all in, but I'm going too fast, too hard, too soon. Like I said before, it's planting seeds. I planted the seeds weeks ago, and the brain loves endorphins anyway. So if I'm making it happy, it's waking me up. And the part of me is saying, no, I don't want to go to school today, mommy. No, you're going to the gym because you programming for this. So led into an injury. The first time it was okay. I felt a little achy, but then I kind of survived it somehow. Then I went swimming, and knees were still, sometimes it's on the side, and that iliotibial band gets pretty angry. It needs to be stretched. It needs to be thick as a rolling pin, not the one in the kitchen. Well, that would work actually, but there's some just designed for that stuff. And I was kind of guarded, and I wasn't walking. I was limping a little bit, and that's a sign I did something. And I was doing sumo squats and all that, just having a great time, and not giving myself enough of a break between these, because I wanted that heart rate up. I just wanted to get the feedback, just like the skip rope. So, and I got addicted quickly to the skip rope because I got the feedback, and then I got mobility, even though I'm heavier, that went out the window. And then, and the feeling, in the moment of feeling good, I did not mind the technique and all that. So I'm sure I did something wrong. I've been there before. So now, instead of panicking, I took the rolling pin, and I started working on it. That was the Monday before Easter, and it was what came from deep into the muscle was so shockingly painful, because it probably goes into unused for so long that it just says, screw you. I'm tight, I'm brittle, and it takes time to stretch me and baby me, and we should take care of that. And I did not. So what came to the surface was like the swelling went even more than, even more acute than it was before. And also it was point tenderness, which meant that the whole area I needed, behind the knee and around the knee, in the sides of the knee, everywhere, it needed to be stretched. It needed to be conditioned for that. So it's just a learning point that we can try to change the programming, but we have to be very careful not to put too much and then not being able to assimilate all this. But I've done this more than one occasion, but this is probably about the worst time I've had. I could barely walk, basically, just so you know. But I had to I had to leave home a couple of times. Sorry. I had to leave home to go to the gym, and I still managed to do walking on the treadmill for 30 minutes. And I had to do my stride, heel to toe, heel to toe. I have a foot heel injury from a few years back, and that just I think my brain's still kind of scared that, you know, if I stretch it or I do anything, that foot's gonna hurt again. So I got some moving parts that need to be not babied and that not used, and they just need to be managed right now. And they all get together, they all gang up on me. So the autopilot is working, but the machine needs to be upgraded a little bit. Yeah. So the whole week leading into Good Friday, I get kind of, like I explained previous week, I get kind of sullen and all that. But this year was really good because I actually got a lot of work. I actually give myself permission to be creative and just had an open mind. And I've been doing a lot of writing, working on my book. I should be wrapping that up by the end of the month. But by the time May comes around, that book draft will be done, and it's and I'm aiming at November for publication. And I had other products that I had to design for my coaching that needed to be created. I had to just do it over the weekend. So I had some breakthroughs while nursing my ego a little bit, that, you know, too much too soon, too hard, too fast. I had to plant a good seed there. So that's what led into my holiday weekend. And instead of not working out, because the first thing we do is we seek refuge in the arms of security, which means doing nothing at all. I switched on demand and started going to the gym. I said, you know what, I'm going to shift gears here. Since stretching might have been the point to address before going into these hard workouts, then I had to go ahead and take charge of that. So I started to do yoga on demand. They have videos. I mean, I paid for it. It's a club membership. So you can get free workouts online on YouTube anywhere. There's plenty of people who are teaching yoga, and I have plenty of experience with this. Yeah, I knew it would be painful because it's getting down. My knees are so tender. I couldn't even go up downstairs and outside to get mail. So I knew that I had to stretch. And so there's another stretch goal, literally stretch goal. I had to get down on my knees on a mat. And this practice in particular is called surrender. And I've done this in a live studio before the whole world shut down for 2 years and the gym shut down. And I used to go on Sundays at noon, and I would do maybe another class with a regular yang type yoga practice. Was more active to be the heart rate and all that good stuff. But this one they call it surrender, and for good reason, because this one's purely yin. Purely yin is a non-active energy, if I can put it that way. And you only have that, and their practice is about an hour. I can do a 30-minute, 45-minute, or 16-minute practice at home, and I could just choose from the videos. And it's just me. If I'm crying in pain, then it's just me. But I've been in the studio before. People are just, they're just sweating it, because it takes the concentration on the breath control and the discipline to pay attention, not to the feeling of discomfort in holding a handful of poses. This is not like a flow where you do maybe several of them all in a row, and that's why it's called flow. And you go from one to the other, to the other, to the other, and then you start the process, cycle that, you lather, rinse, and repeat. That's pretty much how it works. But in the surrender, it's all yin, which means you move as slowly as you can. You're conserving energy, and you're holding, and staying put is really challenging. But it has been one of my favorites, and I had not been to the studio in over 2 years, but I could do it from home. So to maintain the standard of operations, if I can call it that way, I've been doing nothing but yin yoga every morning. Doesn't matter what time. And I complain, like, it's 5:45, get up. I get up, do my morning thing without even trying to do the smoothie. Don't even bother with that stuff. Get a glass of water, set it by side somewhere nearby. It's only 30 minutes, only a 60-minute practice. And that has been really rewarding for me because slowly I'm thinking with more clarity about this whole physical, mental connection. And it has been a source of joy for me because I'm still sore and I'm still going to have some challenges in the next couple of weeks or so. But stretching is something that I cannot stop doing now. So I've added a second layer to the standard of living where the first thing I do for my success is going to be get up in the morning and engage in something physical. So does it have to be hard exercise? It could be like yoga, yin practice, and then I'll do maybe a flow of maybe 15, 20 minutes to see how I tolerate it. And then I'll do modified poses just to make sure that I don't re-injure and to keep myself in check, not to go too fast. So the yin practice is strictly to like the fascia, that layer that goes over our muscles to not become brittle and unused. It's there for a reason. It's there for the protective layer, but to make it more pliable. And we should be more pliable inside in our minds and spiritually. We should be able to allow this process to happen to enable our learning. So that really has been a learning point, but it really sucked. It really sucked because I'm hobbling. I'm like, I was doing pretty good about 3 weeks ago or the past month and a half, and suddenly I'm hobbling, but I'm not going to get turned off because my mind still wakes me early in the morning and expects my butt to move. So for 7 days, I made that 7-day after Easter. You completed 7 days. Like I was like, I can take the day off. I could, but the injury was mainly because of lack of use. So if we're not exercising and stretching and then reconditioning, it's the same thing with the mind. We're not reconditioning the program. And so I allow myself to upgrade the software. And actually it's being received just fine because right now the body's like, okay, I can do the stretching. It may be really kind of annoying to hold a pose for 3 to 5 minutes. That's the challenge. And working and doing breath control. And that's another layer that I'm definitely integrating. Not part of meditation, that's a different practice altogether. And that can happen during the day. It doesn't have to be first thing in the morning. After that, I'm energized. I've gone back to work and I'm here. I've done plenty of recordings. And I can't sit though. I had to reconfigure my whole studio and my desk to where I'm not sitting because it was like my last job. I sat for 12 hours doing nothing but just wondering, what am I doing here? I'm working, my brain is working, it's sharp, but the body's not moving at all. And I did not like that one bit. So I do a lot of stuff standing, move the computer, everything that I'm doing is standing, and I'm wearing supportive footwear for that reason, to make sure that I don't slouch and make the problem, more acute, like I said. So if I need a good sit, I'll sit when I eat and I have a cup of coffee and enjoy a quick break, and then I go right back into it. And a lot of people do that at work. They're standing, they seem to be more dynamic. I've always enjoyed it. Not all employers want to do that. So I'm on my own. So I should be able to adjust my environment as I need it. So in the past couple of weeks, we lost all the good comedians are gone. I mean, there's still some pretty good ones. I don't want to name names because I don't want them going before the time, but Gilbert Gottfried passed away in the past couple of weeks. And it got me thinking about some of his routines, how we're so different when we have our desired persona. And I'm shifting away a little bit from autopilot, but he was an autopilot, a guy that was always on in public. And he had a different personality on stage, TV and interviews. Had that whiny, high-pitched voice. I was just hearing him even say something normal would make me laugh. very talented guy. But the point was that I was looking at some old recordings of him, and I started laughing because I found a snippet on YouTube. It's out there. It has to do with a recording for an answering machine that he made for a call he made, and it was captured in an answering machine. And as Gilbert Gottfried, the normal guy at home, probably the husband, loving husband, and father of two, and not for consumption for the rest of the world. And it was, I don't know, it wasn't a Howard Stern show. I don't know why Howard Stern thought that he sounded like a serial killer, because it was a completely different tone. The tone was lower, calmer. It didn't have the same cadence as his stage voice. It did not have that raspiness. He had a nice voice. I thought he sounded like a nice guy who lived in a suburb, had a wife and two kids. He really did. But these people were just laughing because he just, it was day and night. And so we want to be the complete opposite of who we have been. For someone with a stage presence, an artist, they switch it back and forth. They can be themselves at home, and then they can be on stage. It's on. When you got a camera out or something, someone's recording them, they can turn that on. So for us, and goal setting and achieving the kind of person we want to be, we should always be, we have developed that awareness. Someone like him would have an awareness of switching from the performing side of his psyche to the one from his daily life. And the two they exist in the same person, but they could be separated at any time given the circumstances. Point, allow yourselves to become the best person. If you're going to be an autopilot, you better be the best robot. It's like, are we robots? We are robots, but we can be good robots, and we can be inefficient robots. In this case, is someone who can go back and forth and still be successful. He has a successful career, but he can still switch from the normal programming to the performing programming. And comedians do that all the time. They have minds like sponges. They're pretty amazing. You cannot tell them anything that doesn't become ammunition for the next stand-up comedy skit. So just wanted to leave you with that pleasant thought. He made a really good parrot as Iago, but he did so much more work than that. And he's cast into the universe, and his energy remains with us in all his recordings and his work. And I know I talked about autopilot, so that this is a case scenario, me hurting myself and hunkering down for a week. And yeah, and I told myself, you're not going to go out and get sugar. No sugar. I went no coffee, and I just been really hammering at chipping away. Like when I do one thing, I go into the next. I'm crafting where I'm going as I'm doing it. So I'll get better. My knees will get better. You just have to continue. Once you get there, you have to stay there. This is the person that I am now, and there are no compromises here. I've made the commitment, and it doesn't matter if I'm on vacation. It brings me to the last point. I'm on vacation. I'm at leisure. Being able to move is such a wonderful thing. And when people who can't, they make an effort, even when they're sick or they're injured, that's admirable, because their mind's still running. And just because the body is in some way not allowing for movement, we should always strive to push ourselves harder every day and learn something new every day. So I did master skip rope, and when my knees feel better, I'm going to go right back into it. I'm just going to sneak it in. Brain doesn't know it yet. My knees doesn't know it yet, but it will happen. But I will continue with the new layers to have added to my practice, my daily practice. Practices for success. And let me go into the closing for this podcast tonight. I had some coffee. I gave up coffee and I had some coffee again. So I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna sleep. The podcast is going on the road. I'm going to be traveling again. If you have been to my YouTube channel, I hope you have. Make sure I'm recording for YouTube, so I'm pointing at the screen. Please just, I'm putting some graphics. I'm learning to play with the video editing. Just go ahead and hit the subscribe button and the little bell so you know when I'm going live. I mean, maybe going live. I haven't done a live video yet or podcast. I'm sure it's forthcoming, and when it happens, I'm going to do my best to do a good job at it. But I'm just psyching myself up for that. But I'm going to be going to I have a Caribbean trip coming up, and I'm also going to be in Alaska. So this is going to happen before the summer. They're not going to be exactly back to back. I'm just going to try only to do one trip per month, but once I get out there, I see something cool, I may just have to pack my bag and just come home and shower and do some laundry and just head out again. I'm in a pursuit of joy. So I want to bring all of you with me in my adventures. Maybe I will also inspire you to get out of your box and maybe sometime do the same and explore life and experience life and enjoy it. This is what we're here for. We might as well just add some layers of fun into the whole experience. So I'm going to leave you with that thought. Work on your programming. And I certainly have got the neat pain to you know, I'm pretty happy this week. There's a big crash coming and I'm pretty excited. I'm not going to talk about it yet. And I'm leaving you with plenty to think about. I really should be leaving you with plenty to think about tonight. And go to bed with a smile. Tomorrow morning when you wake up, be thankful. Always be grateful. I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for my experience. I hope you're grateful for your experience. Make it better, make it more fun. Challenge yourself and do something new every day. It doesn't matter what it is. So if it's skip rope, remember, stretch before you do. And I bid you good night, and I will see you again soon. And soon I will be on the road. Go to my YouTube channel. I have another YouTube channel that will be named In the Pursuit of Joy, of course, but I have my regular YouTube channel that's listed in the bio or the description of the podcast. I'm still going to be posting a shorter version of the podcast on Substack. I'm going to be writing a blog. There's probably going to be a paid blog, but I will have some free content that is not including any of my other podcasts. I go a little bit deeper into some of these topics about self-development, and that's part of my practice. So where I will be able to better address some specific stuff that maybe my listeners would like to inquire about. I have email here. Email me or just send me a message in any of my social media channels. I have Instagram, you know that, and I'm also on Facebook. Just drop me a line anytime and let me know if there's anything you want me to talk about that you're struggling with or you want to overcome, and I'll be happy to bring it up. No names named, just working on case scenarios and hopefully give you some inspiration for a better life. And I hope to see you again soon. Good night.